Let's bring in Emily Skor, CEO for Growth Energy. Emily, it's great to have you back on AgriTalk. How are you?
I'm terrific, Chip. Nice to talk with you.
You bet. Glad you're here. I know you've been busy, but I want to start with some disappointment, and that was that Supreme Court ruling that we got on Friday that was in favor of refiners and not in favor of biofuels and the RFS. I'm still a little confused over how it happened.
Well, I don't know that I can explain how it happened. I mean, that's trying to get into the minds of the justices. I mean, I read, of course, certainly the opinion and the dissenting opinion. Yep. But here's the important takeaway. So, yes, it's disappointing, but it's not devastating to us as an industry. And it's important to remember this is not going to open the floodgates for SREs going forward. At most, the decision removes a single procedural barrier to SRE eligibility. So the decision was all about, does an exemption have to be uninterrupted and continuous? Do you have to get it in 2011 and 12 and 13, 14 in every single year? And the court said, no, you don't. We disagree with that. And importantly, the Biden EPA disagrees with that as well. But it does nothing to impact EPA's ongoing responsibility to ensure that any refinery seeking exemption must trace their hardship directly back to RFS compliance. So we still have other mechanisms available to enforce, very low amount of exemptions going forward.
Okay. So the Biden EPA, Administrator Regan, has he basically said no to SREs going forward?
Well, I mean, they held decisions on all the pending SREs to see what the Supreme Court would say. But importantly, Regan and the Biden EPA, their own brief in the Supreme Court case reinforced our position that the RFS was clearly intended to blend more biofuels. So I think that's a strong indicator that we're not going to see the abusive use of SREs that we did with the previous administration.
Okay. Do you know what the timeline is on the pending SRE requests?
No, we don't know that we don't. Okay. And we've been given no indication. We just know that there was a holding pattern for the court decision to come out. And so now I think how quickly some decisions will be made, hard to say.
Okay. Any word on when the RVOs, the renewable volume obligations, are coming? The preliminary?
No, I mean, yeah, we've no word yet. What we always wait for is, when is it going to be sent over to the Office of Management and Budget? That's kind of the last stop for interagency review. And so, we haven't seen that. It hasn't been confirmed that it's gone there yet. So I think we're still maybe a week or two out.
Okay. Very good. Very good. You were recently, recently participated in a Senate subcommittee hearing on biofuels and their ability to create economic activity and the role that they play in the environment, right? How'd that go?
It was a great committee hearing. So it was the Senate Ag, the Subcommittee on Rural Development and Energy. What a wonderful subcommittee for me to be able to speak to. And so, yeah, I mean, I talked about all of the opportunities that we have before us with biofuels to not only address climate change, but to bring clean energy jobs and to drive rural economic development. So it was really a fun hearing and had some good questions from senators who are very supportive of getting more biofuels out there.
Okay, they're supportive. Do they buy in to the story and the very good story that ethanol and bio and renewable diesel can tell? Do they understand the benefits that biofuels are bringing to the table?
I certainly our Midwestern champions understand that. But
yeah.
And what we need for them to do is to translate that understanding and support into legislation that will support our industry and drive more use. Yeah. So, the topic right now is infrastructure. And so we need to make sure that any flagship infrastructure bill includes support for biofuels, not just EVs.
Right. And as things stand, the infrastructure plan that President Biden is going to Wisconsin to talk about today, it doesn't have a lot in there for the expansion of E15 in the marketplace, does it?
No, so we haven't, we haven't seen anything specific to biofuels
Right.
and kind of this joint package. So, but I will say, Chip, the conversation's not over. This is an ongoing conversation. So we've got support with our champions. We've just got to continue to press hard and be vigilant in making our case every single day, and as we have been doing for the past several months.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of talk about gas prices going up at the pump. There was a question on Twitter this morning for you, Emily. It's from @KramerJosh. Says, can you ask Emily to clear up some of the misconceptions about RIN prices and their effects on fuel prices? Had our local fuel supplier trying to tell us that one big reason for higher fuel prices is that RIN prices are so high.
That's absolute nonsense. I am happy to completely debunk that. There is no correlation whatsoever. So there's a lot of talk about the high RIN price because you've got some refiners belly aching about it. The truth is, when the RIN goes high, they should be blending more.
Yes.
It's a market forcing mechanism, and they should be incentivized to blend more biofuel as opposed to purchasing that RIN.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of this is kind of what is the marketplace doing and trying to kind of game out the system and anticipate what the administration will do. But the cost of the RIN, that doesn't come to the consumer. It's not a reflection of gas prices. That's really kind of the supply and demand of RFS compliance.
Yeah. And one thing that people need to remember as well is in E10, there's 1/10 of the value of a RIN in that gallon of gasoline. So you can't. It's hard to push prices up when we're taking 1/10 of the value of the RIN and putting it into the value of that gallon at the pump. It doesn't translate very well, does it?
Well, it doesn't. And importantly, the cost of gas for the consumer, the largest variable is the cost of crude oil.
Oh yeah.
That is what's dictating the price for consumers, not ethanol and not the RIN.
And here we are at 7-year highs in crude oil futures. And if you're looking for the reason for high gas prices, you don't really need to go any further than that. Let's talk about the study that you have just completed there at Growth Energy about E15 and the benefits.
Yeah, so exciting. I mean, our point, the environmental benefits of E15 are clear and the economic benefits of E15 are clear. So we just released a study. If we as a nation move to an E15 blend, we're going to add $17.8 billion to the U.S. GDP. We will support more than 182,000 additional jobs. We'll generate $10.5 billion in new household income, and we'll save consumers $12.2 billion in fuel costs. You can't argue with those numbers.
It seems like a no-brainer that we go ahead and push forward then with nationwide E15. What's the status of that? It
just continues to be educating at the national level that E15 is like this wonderful tool that's available today. It's affordable for everyone. It can be used in today's cars. So there's a lot of continuing education. There's some rulemaking that we've provided comments to at EPA where they kind of clarify the labeling, they clarify infrastructure compatibility. That's really important that they eliminate that bureaucratic red tape. That will free up more retailers to offer E15 more quickly. So we're looking at every lever we have on the policy front, on the commercial front, to expedite getting more gallons of E15 out there.
Right. Okay. What's next for Growth Energy, Emily?
Kind of more the same. So in Washington, restore RFS integrity, make sure on the policy conversation around infrastructure that we are included, and then partnering with retailers to build out that E15 infrastructure, to build out excitement for E15. And Chip, the trend line that you want to be watching is retailers are starting to replace 87 with a 15% blend. And that's what's going to give us the step change in demand. Yeah. So we are encouraging that. And, retailers are conservative with a little c. They pilot it at maybe 10 stations before they do it at all their stations. But that's where we're going to be going.
Good. Good. Yeah, and the more E15 that we can get into the marketplace, the more RINs that are going to be in the marketplace, and the cheaper those RINs get, and everybody wins. The refiners are going to win on this deal as well. So
everybody wins.
Yeah, let's keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. Emily, thank you so much. Really appreciate you and your time.
Thanks, Chip.
You bet. Emily Skor, CEO of Growth Energy.